Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about soy. Now, I've avoided soy like the plague for the past 10 years or so because I read all the studies that say how horrible it is for us. The problem is, I love soy. I love soybeans, I love soy milk, I love tofu, I love soy yogurt. So, what are we supposed to do? So, is soy bad for us or not? Well, I wanted to make this video to maybe try to help clear up some confusion. So, what's the consensus? Is soy bad for us or not? Well, my feeling is I don't really know. There's so many studies out there that half of them say that it's horrible for you and it's going to kill you. The other half say that it's the greatest thing in the world and it cures or prevents cancer. So it's really hard to make a good decision when there are so many opposing results from all of these studies that have been done. My thoughts are that I don't think it's really as bad as people say, and I don't really think it's as good as people say. So I think we need to go through each of the points that people have problems with soy one by one, and then I'll give you my final thoughts at the end. And we all know that soy contains isoflavones, which have different effects on the body. The first of these effects is an estrogenic effect. Isoflavones are phytoestrogens. Another type of phytoestrogen is lignans. Um, Isoflavones are found in, fruit, beans, nuts, that sort of thing. And lignans are usually found in seeds like flax seeds. Now, a lot of health experts get their idea that soy is good for us because a lot of Asians have been eating soy for many, many years, and they have lower rates of cancer and heart disease. Now, I don't really think that just because they're eating soy and they have lower rates of disease means that soy causes lower rates of disease. That's not really the idea here. The idea is that, you have to look at the fact that Asians, they lead much healthier lives than Americans. They eat healthier in general. They exercise, they have less stress than us. So I think we have to take in all of these into account before we just conclude that soy equals a lower risk of, cancer or Asians eat a lot of seaweed and seafood, which contains a lot of iodine. And I'll get into iodine and why we need to be eating this nutrient in a bit. Asians also don't eat massive amounts of soy in the form of supplements like soy protein isolate, protein powders, and protein bars. They eat whole soy, and a lot of it is fermented as well, which I'll get into later. Another reason experts claim that soy is healthy is because phytoestrogens hook onto receptor sites on our cells, not allowing other estrogens to do so. In effect, protecting our cells from the estrogens that may, increase our risk for things like breast cancer. Was this true? Well, I don't really know because of all the studies show opposite results. So there's really no way to completely know for sure if this in fact is true. Some studies have shown that soy has caused men to develop large breasts or reduced fertility or low testosterone or low libido, that sort of thing. So there have been studies that have shown a few men who eat large amounts of soy, like I think one study said 3 quarts of soy milk this one man was eating, and he developed these symptoms. Well, nobody should be eating 3 quarts of anything really in one day of any one food or liquid. That's actually even too much water. 3 quarts of water in one day, that's way too much. So, you know, the takeaway from this is large amounts of soy, large amounts of any food is probably not a good idea. If you look at something like iron, we need iron in our diets, of course, to maintain good health. But if you were to eat or take in like 100 milligrams of iron in one day, that would be highly toxic. So the dosage of different foods and different supplements, it's very important. We need to remember. So because of these outcomes for a few of these men and some of the negative studies that we've seen, or the negative outcomes from some of these studies, I have concluded that soy does affect our hormones. So we need to be cautious about how much we eat. I don't think we need to avoid it completely, but we need to, remember that too much of anything is not a good idea. Occasionally, small amounts of whole soy, non-GMO, organic soy is fine in small amounts, unless you have hypothyroidism or thyroid issues, or you have breast cancer, or you have a high risk of breast cancer. probably a good idea to, you know, watch your intake of soy, especially soy protein isolate or any type of concentrated soy in supplements. Now, this brings me to my next point about the goitrogenic effect of soy. Genistein, which is a type of soy isoflavone found in soy, accepts the iodine molecules from the thyroid peroxidase. This is an enzyme that transfers iodine to the thyroid. Some studies have shown that genistein and other isoflavones, may compete with thyroid hormones, and it may block the action of thyroid peroxidase. But the key here is that as long as we get enough iodine in our diet, this will help. Genistein probably won't affect the thyroid. Now, of course, eating fermented soy is ideal because this turns off the activity of these goitrogenic effects. Also, as a side note, steaming cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, this also helps, release the goitrogenic effect of these. So it's really important to get enough iodine in your diet through sea vegetables, seafood, that sort of thing, like kelp, nori, dulse, those types of seaweeds. I don't really recommend taking synthetic iodines because this just doesn't work in the body the same way as the type of iodine you would find in food. Phytic acid is another problem that's found in soy, and phytic acid actually inhibits the body from absorbing certain minerals like calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, and I've talked about this in other videos. Fermenting the soy actually helps break this down, so you're not getting the phytic acid in fermented soy as much as you would in non-fermented soy. Eating fermented soy foods also adds vitamin K2 to the diet, which is very important through foods like natto. Now, vitamin K is actually very important to get. It's also very hard to get in the diet. Most people get their vitamin K through the form of vitamin K1, which is found in leafy green vegetables and other fruits and vegetables. And this, is a type of vitamin K that helps the blood to clot. But vitamin K2 is very different. It, it helps calcium actually go into the bone where it belongs. Many people are taking calcium supplements thinking they're helping their bones when in fact they're actually hurting themselves because they're increasing their risk of heart attacks and atherosclerosis. Because the calcium from these supplements goes into the arteries, where if you take K2 along with vitamin D and magnesium, this helps shuttle the calcium to the bone instead of to the arteries. So the takeaway here is that eating high amounts of soy can actually be harmful. Eating organic, non-GMO, and fermented or non-fermented occasionally is probably fine for most people. Now, if you have hypothyroidism, you're taking thyroid medication, I would probably suggest you stay away from soy as much as you can. If you eat it once or twice a month, it's probably not going to hurt you. But for the general public, people who don't have problems with their thyroid, it's perfectly fine to eat, once or twice or maybe 3 times a week, as long as it's in the whole food form. You want to avoid foods like fake meats, like the soy protein isolate found in protein powders, protein bars, different supplements of that nature. So I eat soy maybe once or twice a week. I like to make my own soy milk and my own soy yogurt. Occasionally I'll buy tofu, but it's actually kind of fun to make your own. You know that there's no fillers or preservatives or synthetic vitamins. If you were to buy some soy milk or go to the store and look at the ingredient list of a lot of soy milks, there's a lot of questionable ingredients in there, synthetic vitamins, preservatives. I don't really like that. There is one brand, Westbray, which actually the ingredients, if you look at it, it's just organic whole soybeans and water, which is fine occasionally, but I really like to make my own, and I want to show you how to make soy yogurt, which is actually very delicious, very, very easy to make. So just pour about 3 cups of soy milk into a pot. You can use homemade or store-bought. Just make sure it doesn't have any preservatives in it. And then bring it up to about 105 degrees. I like to use a meat thermometer just to make sure that I don't go past 105. To go above 105, it's not a big deal. Just take it off, the heat, and then let it cool until it reaches about 100 to 105 degrees. Okay, so we've reached 105 degrees, and now we have to add some probiotics so our yogurt will grow, or the bacteria will grow. This is the kind I use. It doesn't really matter. Just find a high quality supplement probiotic at the health food store. And I like to use about 2 capsules. You could probably use just one, but I like to use 2. I like it really potent. So just open up the capsule and pour it in. And then you want to stir it to get it all mixed up. Then you want to pour your soy milk into a glass container. And I like to cover it up and put it on a warm dehydrator. Let this ferment for about 4 to 6 hours, and then we'll check back and see what it looks like.